All right, I think you're ready now for our last two-step problems. So we start off reading it carefully. Mr. Costa drove 342 miles. Mrs. Costa drove 279 more miles than Mr. Costa. How many miles did they drive all together? They drove miles all together. And again, always start out with your answer sentence so you stay focused. Let's start our bar modeling. Mr. Costa drove 342 miles. So I'm going to make a bar for Mr. Costa, and I know I can label it 342 miles. Mrs. Costa drove 279 more miles than Mr. Costa. So if I'm going to do Mrs. Costa's bar, I know it has to be more. And I know exactly how many more, or how much more. I don't know how far she drove, but I know how much farther she did, which is the 279. So clearly I can see I'm looking for my biggest number. So I'm going to do what if I'm looking for my biggest number? Yep, I have to add the two of them. So 279, start in my ones place. 621. And I would check that with the inverse operation. And I'm not going to do that just because of time's sake. But I would check that, and then I would know that she drove 621 miles. So if I want to know how many miles they drove all together, then I'm going to have to do another bar model, a part whole bar model. So I'll take Mr. Costa's miles, which is the 342. I'm going to add on Mrs. Costa's miles, which is 621. And clearly if I'm finding this number, it's the biggest number. So what do you do when you're finding the biggest number? You add. So 3 1s, 6 10s, 900s. 963. I could put that up here. I would check with my inverse operation. And 621, and I would get 342, and I know that that would be the correct answer. So that's one. And then the second one is Allie has 264 US and Mexican stamps. 93 of the stamps are Mexican. How many more US stamps than Mexican stamps does Allie have? And again, lots of words, it could be confusing, but read it a couple times and maybe the bar modeling can help us sort it out. So we want to start with our answer sentence. Allie has more US than Mexican stamps. And I'm going to start off with Allie's stamps. We know she has 264 of them from reading the first sentence. 93 of them are Mexican, so some of them are Mexican. 93, I can put a little M here so I remember. And I'm going to try to find out first how many US stamps she has. So I can see that that's not the biggest number. I have the biggest number. So what do I do when I have the biggest number and I'm solving for one of the other ones? I subtract. 1 be 7. So 100, she has 171 US stamps. That's not what I'm being asked though. I want to know how many more US than Mexican stamps. So this time I need to do a comparison bar model. And I know she has 93 Mexican stamps and she has more US stamps. And I know she has 171 US stamps. So if I want to find out how many more, I have my biggest number, so I'm solving for a smaller number. What do? I subtract. 93, 8, so 78. She has 78. And again, I would check all these with the inverse operation. I'm just trying to save a little bit of time. So 171. And that is how you use bar models to solve two-step problems. And in the last one that we just did, we started off with a part-part whole, and then we went to a comparison bar model, whereas the first one we compared first and then we did a part-part whole. And I hope that was helpful. Thanks.